Welcome to the Real Estate Podcast with Robert Ikard. Thank you for joining us today, and we have a very special guest. His name is Craig Davis. He's the president and CEO of VisitDallas, the sales and marketing organization for the city of Dallas. He directs and manages all of VisitDallas's strategies, operations, activities, and staff as the organization works to achieve its mission to market Dallas globally to benefit our community and visitors. So welcome.
Thank you, Robert.
You're welcome. Tourism is big in Dallas, and Dallas drives more than $5 billion in economic impact and supports more than 65,000 jobs. Davis has worked in the hospitality industry for more than 3 decades and began his tenure as president and CEO of VisitDallas in January of 2020. Prior to VisitDallas, he served as president and CEO of Visit Pittsburgh, and during his 19-year career there, served as executive director of convention sales and executive vice president of sales and marketing. Davis's extensive background in the hospitality industry also includes experience in marketing and sales at hotels in Pittsburgh, Chicago, and Toronto. Born in St. Catharines, Ontario, Davis became a U.S. citizen in 2001. He graduated from the University of Western Ontario in London, Ontario. In 2002, Davis became a certified designation management executive and now serves as a course instructor for its leadership program. That status is recognized within the Convention and Visitors Bureau industry as its highest educational achievement. He has served as the chairman of Destinations International Association as well as the Destination International Foundation. He is a private pilot and resides in the city of Dallas with his wife, Kathleen.
That was a mouthful.
Yes, it was. We made it through it.
Yeah.
But I'm so excited to have you. I've
you.
heard you speak at a couple of different local events, and there's a lot going on in Dallas.
Yeah.
But so, are you originally from Canada?
I am. Yeah.
Okay, tell us a little bit about that, if you don't
I was
mind.
born in a little town that's right near Toronto. I always say Toronto because a lot of people don't really know the geography, but
Right.
in essence, if you know where Buffalo, New York is, I grew up right across the river from Buffalo, New York, in the snow belt, and lived there and went to college as I said at the University of Western Ontario. Started my hotel career in Toronto, and then had the opportunity to emigrate to the United States when I was 23 years old, and never looked back. So I've been in the United States for the vast majority of my life and my career. So yeah, just and of course, it's a natural to become a U.S. citizen.
Good.
And because I plan to obviously live up my days here.
Well, we're happy to have you in Dallas. I know that.
Thank you, Robert.
And it's not just me saying that. The people I talk to,
Oh, that's nice.
you're doing a very good job promoting the city of Dallas and in your position at the Visit Dallas.
Yeah.
And what's the website, just in case I forget to mention it at the end? Sometimes I'm
It's
supposed to
very
remember
simple.
that. Go ahead.
VisitDallas.com. So we're the organization that brings tourism into Dallas. We're responsible for marketing Dallas all over the world.
Okay.
Because as you know, with DFW and with Love Field, we have the most lift out of any city in the entire world here in Dallas, Texas.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, and when you combine the two airports. And on top of that, we're the ones that bring all the conventions into town, and we work very closely with our hotel community. Our success for us is bringing people from the outside, bringing economic development and money from the outside into the Dallas economy. And that is done so by getting people to come, meet here in Dallas, stay overnight, and buy lots of food and beverage and parking and gas and everything else. And they leave a big imprint on the economy when they leave.
And lots of fun things to do here, of course.
There are days of attractions here. Yeah, Texas size.
For the benefit of our audience around the country, at home, and internationally, we do have quite a skyline as well, as we can see in the back.
Yeah, this is a perfect Texas day, about 80 degrees, and is dry and perfect as you can absolutely ask for.
Yes, we're actually we're broadcasting out of the Oak Cliff Tower in Dallas, Texas. Compliments of Jim Lake and Amanda Moreno Lake, who have so graciously allowed us to use this location, which has the best views in Dallas, in my opinion, because we are right next to Dallas, but it also gives us a view of the downtown. So
Yeah.
we love that. And thank you again, Jim and Amanda, for allowing us to use this beautiful facility you have here, this beautiful building. And so, what's on your mind today about Dallas? I know you always have so much good to say about Dallas, and let me just ask you, what's first and foremost on your mind about Dallas?
Well, I mean, I'm going to level set this a little bit. You know, I was recruited down here 3.5 years ago. It was right before COVID. So when I got here, the economy was booming. It was 2019, the very end of 2019 when I arrived. Started my job in January 2020. And we had obviously 3 months, and then all hell broke loose with COVID. And not a lot of different industries suffered during COVID, but tourism did, as everybody knows, because you know, and compared to a lot of other cities in the United States, especially Northeast cities, January, February, March, April are our top months because we have wonderful weather for the most part in those, and so groups and people actually migrate down to Texas and Dallas in specific. So we're coming off of our best year on record in 2019. COVID hit in March 2020, and we went, I remember, it was Friday the 13th, I think, and we went from aggregate occupancies in our hotels of around 70% down to single digits overnight, and it languished there for months. Then we started to creep up again, but we went through 2 years of real tough times in the hotel and hospitality industry, throughout the world, of course, and Dallas jumped back quicker than most. We were given a really bad prognosis when they started to look at the effect of COVID. They said big cities like Dallas are going to suffer the most because people won't want to come back into the cities after COVID. They won't want to meet and all these other things. And they said it'll be 5 years before you get back to where you're supposed to be. And we got back and we exceeded in 2 years. So we had this true V-shaped reset or comeback.
Right.
And so we are actually in the midst of now looking for our future. And we've, and we'll get into this a little bit more, but we're announcing a brand new convention center that's going to start being built next year in 2024. It will be out of the ground in 2028. And with that, a gigantic entertainment district and neighborhood will be built around our convention center. So it's really going to be a life-changing experience for a lot of people from Dallas. There's a lot. Plus, we're going to get FIFA in 2026.
And for those who, not everybody is a soccer, or maybe I should say football fan.
Yeah.
What is FIFA?
FIFA is the Federation of, I forget what its acronym is for, but it is.
We have young people here. Somebody's got to know.
Yeah. It's
Federation of International
Football Association.
Something like that.
Well, we just showed ourselves. Yeah.
It's all right.
You got it.
Okay.
Yeah.
We're Americans. What are you going to do?
So I've always just referred to them as FIFA. But FIFA announced North America, that they were going to come to North America for the next finals. And as you recall, it happened this past summer in Qatar.
Yes.
And so it's coming into North America and full of North America, so Canada, United States, and Mexico. And it's going to be distributed amongst, I think it's 26 cities. So we're going to have FIFA in North America for 2 months, and it's going to just turn, like, there are, of these 26 cities, Dallas is one of the host cities, and we are competing with our other host cities to see who's going to get the final game, as well as other possibilities.
So the United States won the
bid. Well, North America won the bid.
North America.
Yeah.
So Mexico and Canada as well.
And, United States.
Okay, so do we have the facilities to support such an event?
Absolutely. So we don't have to build anything. And in fact, Dallas was such an easy buy for them because, Dallas has some facilities, but we're very blessed to have a metroplex around us.
Yes.
Of different cities that make up the Dallas metroplex, and a lot of those facilities are in our metroplex partners. So these games would be played all over Dallas and the Metroplex, but the final, like the actual matches are going to be at AT&T Stadium, which they're going to rename as Dallas Stadium for the World Cup. So we're going to, but putting it in context, every game, every FIFA World Cup game, individual match is the equivalent to a Super Bowl. So let that sink in. We're going to be, I think, 120 Super Bowls will take place in North America over the course of 2 months.
Okay, so let me get this straight. If we just get one game
It's a
in
Super
Dallas,
Bowl.
it's
Yeah.
like having a Super Bowl in Dallas.
Yes, but
That's the
we're
impact.
aiming for 8 games, so we'll have 8 Super Bowls or more.
Wow, that is going to be huge.
Right.
And do we have the hotel capacity and everything else to support that?
We do. Actually, in the Metroplex, we have 120,000 rooms. So there's more than enough capacity to handle it. It will stretch us, but we're one of the few areas in North America or the world that can handle events like this.
And they don't all happen. They all won't happen at once. Correct?
No, but they'll happen concurrently in different cities.
Right.
But it won't be. It's not going to be 8 straight weeks or 8 straight days. It's going to happen in a rotation.
Right.
And as different countries beat different countries, we'll have the opportunity to host. So it's going to be very typical of a kind of a play-in match that will take place over the course of 2 months.
And you're going to make sure we have the final championship in Dallas. Is that correct?
So actually, we do want. I mean, we have that set in our sights, and odds on favorites right now are Dallas, New York Meadowlands, and Los Angeles. So we're hoping that we win it out of the two of them.
All right, that's great. Well, we're an international real estate podcast, and yes, this is very Dallas centric.
Yes.
This podcast, but the things you're saying about this area, people want to know about. There's a lot of people considering moving to Dallas. There's a lot of corporations considering moving to Dallas, and there's a lot of people and corporations that have already moved to Dallas. Dallas Fort Worth. I don't want to leave Fort Worth out. It's a metroplex. It's Dallas Fort Worth, and I think, and I could be wrong, but I think I counted it up one day, and there's 120 cities that make it's a lot.
It wouldn't surprise me one bit.
Yes, that make up the DFW area.
Its size is staggering, actually.
Yes.
I mean, you drive from one end to the other. It could be an hour and a half from.
Oh yeah, and then
the
north
southern
and south
part,
as well.
Yeah.
North, south, east, and west. And so, what are you? Why do you think Dallas is and Dallas Fort Worth and Dallas? I don't mean to leave out Fort Worth and all
Okay,
the
we'll just assume Fort Worth as we say.
Yeah,
Dallas.
I mean that's we all use the word Dallas. We don't all, but many of us use the word Dallas. But it's a DFW metroplex.
Yeah.
Why are people so attracted to this area?
Well, I think it's multifaceted, but I think first of all, it's a great business climate, and the weather here is not wonderful 12 months a year, but 11 and a half months of the year. And you've got a wonderful sense of hospitality here. And so when you meet somebody from Dallas, and I'm living proof of it. I came down to Texas, to Dallas with my wife 3.5 years ago, and within a year we have lifelong friends. And it is an amazing opportunity for people to come down and be accepted. If you come to Dallas with the right attitude, you bring your genuine self, and you are willing to work and you're willing to put yourself out there, people insist in this city that you succeed. And I've felt nothing but that since I arrived here. So my wife and I feel like we've lived here all of our lives.
Yeah.
So I think that there's that part of it, but it really is a business-friendly climate here, and it's a sophisticated city. So, the things that bring you down or to a city, it's education. We have a great university infrastructure. We have great living standards. We have we're a relatively inexpensive city compared to other big cities. So all of that adds up to success. And you see it happening in the statistics. As you and I were talking prior to this, if the demographic shift keeps going the way it's going, we're going to eclipse the Chicago, Illinois metroplex by 2030 to become the third largest metroplex in the United States. So the trends are very much in our favor for gaining.
Well, and I didn't realize what you said earlier about that I like the way you put it. We have the most lift of any
Yeah.
city in the United States.
In the world.
In the world.
When you combine both Love Field, the home of Southwest
Right.
Airlines, and DFW, the home of American Airlines. You
Right.
put those two together, the entire lift is the largest in the world.
I got a joke. I don't know if it's appropriate, but
I'll
we'll
let you know.
we'll do it
Yeah,
anyway.
yeah, I'll let you know.
There's a joke. It says you can't even go to hell without passing through Dallas, but
we
we may strike that out of the podcast. Well, we might not, but that's just an old joke. But it's true. I mean, a lot of times if you want to travel cross country or somewhere, you have to stop in Dallas.
Yeah. Yeah,
And,
it's one of those, all roads lead here. And the other part of Dallas that is actually good from a strategic standpoint when you're looking at relocating your company is we're right in the middle of the country. So you can
exactly.
You can drive to most places. It's where you start your road trip. Or if you have to fly, if I'm flying to any other city, I'm usually one flight, and usually within 3 or 4 hours if I'm getting to the edges of it. So
I mean, how long would it take to get to Toronto from here?
4.5 hours. Yeah.
Airtime?
Yep. So not bad.
So you leave it in the morning and you're there at lunch.
Yeah, and there's multiple flights going.
And really, that covers almost the Well,
It
that's
does.
another.
I mean, that's
country,
the pretty northern part of where we're talking
Yes.
about. But most places you want to go, you can get there in one flight from Dallas via a number of different airlines, multiple times a day.
Well, I also heard that it's. I don't remember if it was the NBA or the NFL, but it's the number one choice of pro athletes in the. I don't know if it was the Mavericks or the Cowboys, but this was the number one choice for them to come to.
Interesting.
And I thought about that for a minute. I'm like, why Dallas? And then I'm like, well, why not Dallas?
Well,
if you think about some of
you're right.
the climate, but you go ahead and tell me what you.
No,
think
I mean,
it might be.
there's when you're talking about sports, this city is synonymous with sports. Of course, back with the Cowboys, but we have 5 major league sports teams here, and
We have hockey,
we have
basketball,
football, we have
baseball.
we have XFL, we have
Oh, that's right.
we have soccer, FC Dallas. We have the Dallas Wings, women's basketball. We could name and name. So there are a number of different franchises that are located in this area.
And we have major MMA fights there too.
We do. There's a lot going on here, and it interestingly enough, and I don't think Dallas has really hit a lot of people's radars, but it will within the next 5 years. I think that we're getting buzzed by people Texas is the number one import right now for people that are leaving other cities. For whatever reason, they're coming to Texas first, Florida second, and Dallas is in those first choices of Texas. So we're a net importer.
Well, I lived in Florida for 8 years before moving here, and a big difference I noticed was in Florida, you'll hear people talk about golfing, where they're going to eat next, things like that.
Yeah.
Here, the conversations are business.
Yes.
I mean, it's just business. It's a lot. It's a real business-oriented city. And
It is.
that's one reason I'm here and I like it. And not that there aren't plenty of things to do like we've been talking about, but there's a lot of jobs, there's a lot of progress, there's a lot. I'd say the city is and you can talk about this a little bit more. The city welcomes and encourages new business to come to town.
It does, and I want to talk a little bit about the economy of Dallas. Somebody told me is that if you take the United States economy, you shrink it down into the size of the city. Dallas's economy has the same ratio of all the different components of that economy in just the city. So we are very, very resilient, and in
Yes.
a lot of when a lot of the headwinds come for recessions or other white swan events, Dallas is usually the first of many or of a few that come out of these because we are so diversified here. So we're a banking hub, we are a transportation hub, oil hub,
Insurance.
insurance. I mean, you name it. Dallas is a southern gateway for a lot of that. So that helps to make us stable, and so for us. It is that stable economy and that stable promise is, I think, what attracts a lot of people. And I want to talk about what the elephant in the room is. That a lot of people are starting. There's a misperception out there about Texas that we're a bunch of rednecks and that we're backwards and you come to Dallas, Texas, and you will find that it's a sophisticated, and you said welcoming. This is the most incredibly welcoming community I've ever experienced. And I grew up near Toronto, and Toronto is probably the most diverse city on the planet, and it is as welcoming as Toronto.
Yes.
If not more. So I want to make that really clear to the people that may not be from Texas and think that because the media has actually portrayed Texas in a certain light, and I can assure you it is not the case.
No, it's not. Maybe 100 years ago, but
Perhaps.
but the thing is, it's also a very high tech area.
It is.
It's a huge tech hub, and I believe we have more high tech than Austin. And I read that.
I heard the same thing. I can't verify it, but
I read an article that said that. Anything I say could be wrong, and you can independently verify it. But I did read that, and I know we do have a lot of big tech here. We have the education to feed it.
Yes. It's a whole biosphere of technology, of education, of people importing, living here, supporting it. It just, it's hard to explain. You have to come to see it and to experience it. It is just such a welcoming, as I said, diverse. Another thing that we're over 50% Hispanic here, and that's something that I think people are surprised when they hear. So we have a wonderfully diverse population.
Yes, we do, in all kinds of ways we do, and it's just I mean, of course, this is true of probably any big city, but you could eat it at a different restaurant every day, every day of the year, and never repeat it.
Well, one of the things that happened,
easily.
A lot of cities, including us, suffered during COVID, but we didn't have the business closures even close to a lot of other comparable cities. And actually, we did fall into some very tough times during COVID, like everybody else, but we came out very quickly, as I said, and now we have new restaurants opening day in and day out. I don't really believe we lost too much of our population during COVID in terms of our restaurant population, and I think our net difference is far more than what before we had before COVID. Right.
Well, when I first moved here, I noticed that I brought up the term recession because the 2008 recession wasn't far in the rearview mirror.
Right.
And a lot of people would give me a funny, puzzled look. And then I realized after a certain amount of time, they didn't feel the recession here like they felt it in Florida. I mean, it was blood in the water in Florida and many places.
Yeah.
Yes, and Nevada and other places. I'm not saying Texas didn't feel it and Dallas didn't feel it, but I got some funny looks when I brought up the recession, and just like they didn't even know it. It was weird in a good way.
I wasn't here during 2008, but I heard that a lot of our business community doubled down during 2008 and decided that they would buck the trend, and they started to build big projects and be very, very forward-looking, and I think it really paid off. I mean, we have so many construction projects that have been announced here in Dallas with high rises, and as I mentioned, the convention center, and these are big, in many cases, public projects, but in many others, private projects that are financed and are coming out of the ground.
Well, and the business-friendly environment, one thing that goes into that is that the tax rate and things like that. Mm-hmm. And I did read another time, and I think this is true, we have more Fortune 500 companies in Texas than any other state in the United States, including California and New York. And I was shocked at that, to tell you the truth, that we have more Fortune 500 headquarters than New York.
I believe it's been a slow bleed over the course of a number of years.
Yes.
But that's very, very common news that a lot of big Fortune 100, 500 companies are relocating to Texas.
Yes, and we don't have an income tax.
Right. So
that applies to if you're a corporation and you move here to Texas, that if you have high-paid executives, they don't have to worry about that component of their high pay, whereas somewhere else it can make a big difference.
Oh, completely. Right. But there's enough of a tax structure here that schools get get
Yes.
financed and other things that you expect. Our roads are
Right.
good. They're not great like big city, but
Right.
they're good. I mean, there's not that lack of infrastructure. In fact, right now, the state of Texas has, I think, a $30 billion surplus that they're going to be paying down some of the income or some of the real estate taxes.
Yes. In other words, they're going to be rebating some
Right.
of the real estate taxes.
We're easing them.
How many states can say that?
I don't know.
I don't know either. Let's go back to the convention center.
Yeah.
Where are we with the convention center? And tell us more. First of all, tell us what it's going to be.
Sure.
I believe it's going to be its own district. Could you just kind of give us
Sure.
yes?
So hopefully I'm not boring everybody, but our convention center was first built in 1957 and expanded 5 times. So we did what a lot of cities do: is you start with one building, then you keep adding on. And over the last 60 years, we have turned into this sort of Frankenstein that started and some of the oldest parts have engineering and infrastructure that are 60 years old, and the newest parts are 20 years old. None of them talk to each other. None of them. It's an inefficient building that has been laid to not to waste, but pretty close for the last number of years. So it's been pretty hard to sell it because a lot of other cities, quite frankly, have eclipsed us. They've brought in better, brighter, easier buildings and other systems to work with, and our customers have over the years saying we're kind of fed up with this. So there's a lot of things that are wrong with our convention center, but one of the big things that's wrong with it is that it's actually in an east-west configuration, and it is right in front of Interstate 30. And Interstate 30 was cut through the middle of Texas and other states back, I forget, in the 1930s or so. And what it did is it bifurcated the southern part of our city with the northern part. And the southern part were kind of landlocked and couldn't get into downtown and north. So the convention center, actually the back end of it faces the southern part, and it is such an eyesore that people they can get there from the south to the north, but it's not intuitive and it's not inviting, and it was just a number of years of really bad planning. So what we're going to do is we have this beautiful hotel called the Omni Hotel. Omni is actually attached to our current convention center.
Yes. Can we see it? I think we can almost see it.
We
can see it right there.
So it's on the westernmost part of our convention center. What we're going to do is start our new convention center in the south, right next to Interstate 30. We're going to build it north, and at the same time, we're going to be constructing this convention center. We're going to be actually deconstructing the current convention center while still operating both centers throughout the construction process. So what could possibly go wrong? So we're going to be 4 years into construction. But then once the new convention center is constructed from south to north, we're going to take all the current convention center down, and we're going to redevelop that land that will be now then redeveloped for uses that are complementary to the convention center, so like restaurants, shopping, other retail, apartment dwelling, and also business offices. So we're actually going to create a brand new district that actually the name of it exists. It's called the Reunion District, and it's named after Reunion Tower is part of that.
And Reunion Tower, for the folks at home and abroad, you may not be able to see it too clearly, but it's got a ball at the top.
Yeah, it's the most iconic structure of Dallas. It's like it's what makes Dallas Dallas.
It's a restaurant at the top in that ball, and it goes around and around. But maybe you can say a little bit more about it.
No, you're right. I mean, it's our iconic first day attraction that people come in and they visit Reunion Tower, and then they begin their journey in Dallas.
And you can eat, and you can see, look out the window, and then 30 seconds later you're looking at another scene. But anyway.
So this, for me personally, I'm being selfish when I say we, as the person who's responsible for the organization that sells the convention center, we're delighted to have a brand new product to sell. And it is a testament to our community and my team and our other supporting teams that we've been able to sell that convention center for as long as we have, as well as we have, in the state that it's in. So we're going to be able to actually get a brand new convention center that will do a quantum leap above everybody else, technologically wise, user ability wise, because we're going to be painting this canvas from a blank canvas. But the thrilling part is that we're going to actually connect over top of I-30 with a deck park. So it'll be a seamless contact between the south and the north. It will create then brand new opportunities for our residents in southern Dallas. And then also it will spread west and east. So we're going to kind of recreate the entire community. And a lot of people will be surprised at the fact that it will be transformational, not only for convention business, but transformational for Dallas, because then it will actually, I think, breed development for that southern part of our downtown and the northernmost part of southern Dallas.
So at a recent SBCA luncheon, did you say it's going to be one of the biggest, have one of the biggest ball?
Well, we think, again, this is one of these unverifiable things.
Oh,
but,
okay.
So if you take...
You don't want anybody to hold you to it.
Well, we think in our competitive set it will be. So the largest, it will have 105,000 square feet ballroom, which will be the largest ballroom that we know of. Now,
it'll hold how many people?
Gosh, probably 5,000.
Wow.
So but the other part is you never know about Las Vegas. Las Vegas has so we kind of put Las Vegas on the side. They are their own entity, but our competitive set.
Aside from that,
yes,
it'll be probably one of the biggest ballrooms in.
Right, but a convention center won't be the largest convention center in the United States. That's not what we're aiming. We're aiming for it to be the best. So it'll have the right infrastructure that will be able to host virtually any convention that it would be available to us. So
whereas right now we're not necessarily available to do that.
No, we're not, because as I said, that the age of our building is not attractive to our customers, and also there's a part of our building that houses what we call breakout space, so classrooms or other mixed-use space for eating and that kind of thing. That has only 160,000 square feet. So our new convention center will be 800,000 square feet of exhibit space, which would be one of the biggest.
Wow.
But it's going to have 460,000 square feet of exhibits or breakout space. So that over 2-to-1 ratio is what our customers want. So we'll be able to change the way that we sell Dallas.
Okay, so this new convention center is going to be able to be first class and compete with anybody in the country, or maybe the world.
And what the great part of it is that we were looking at how to finance this convention center, and there was a state program called a project financing zone that you can actually draw a circle, a 3-mile circumference around the convention center, and all the hotels tax that a portion of that tax would go to our state allowed us to keep it local and bond against it. So that money is staying in an account to bond. Then on top of that, our citizens of Dallas voted yes to put a 2% tax on hotel rooms.
I'm one of them.
Yes, thank you, Robert, and I will too. So, essentially, and I'm sorry for the people that are coming into Dallas that you're going to have to pay 2% more than you had to pay before in taxes, but we are still on the low end compared to other cities of our same magnitude. So we didn't price ourselves out of competition. So the long and short of it is that we're financing the entire convention center project, but not with any kind of local tax.
Right.
So it won't go out of the general fund of the city of Dallas.
Well, I mean, if you have an international or just say a large national corporation, and you have employees all over the country, Dallas is, I mean, you could go north of us. I don't know there's not a whole lot north of us. We have a lot of farmland north of us.
North of us.
North of us, all the way to Canada. But as far as central, and like you said, the lift. I love that word. We have the most lift. It just makes sense. People aren't going to have a 3-day, or not 3-day. Let's just say 3 connection. 3 connection flight to get here from a lot of places. I mean, we have direct flights from LA, New York. I've flown to New York nonstop, LA nonstop. You can fly to Toronto I don't know what you can't fly to. Maybe
no
Hawaii.
Major city. Yeah.
No, I think you can fly to Hawaii.
We fly to all major cities, but not just in North America. I mean, we fly to most major cities in the world. not every major city, but most major cities.
Right.
So across.
So you could fly to London nonstop from here.
Multiple ways. And we have a lot of lift to Australia, to every major city in Australia.
Nonstop?
So, nonstop. So
Okay.
we have, I mean, there are very few cities that if we started to banter back and forth, that we don't fly to. There are a few, but more we do than we don't. So we are an international hub, and VisitDallas markets that, and to those cities that have frequent lift into those cities.
How does Dallas compare to Toronto? This isn't a fair question,
yeah.
but how does it compare to Toronto? I'm just because you know both of them really well.
Yeah, well, the city of Toronto is actually bigger than Dallas.
No, I know.
Yeah,
I just realized that recently,
and
actually.
Toronto is in the same trajectory. They are growing and growing and growing. In fact, Toronto has been growing for many, many years without any kind of stop. So when I lived there 30 years ago, I could get from point A to point B, but the joke in Toronto is 30 minutes away from Toronto. So they're growing in such a, and I don't know what the growth differential would be, but they're growing at the same rate. But the cool thing about, and I'm not here to sell Toronto, but the cool thing about Toronto is that, as I said, it's probably the most diverse city on the planet. It has been welcoming immigrants from every corner of the world for 40 years.
Well, this is an international podcast,
Okay,
so
yeah.
you're from Canada.
Yeah, I'm very proud of you.
So you'll be one of my second or third international guests.
Okay.
But
By
we
virtue.
consider you,
Okay.
actually, I consider you Mr. Dallas now.
Okay. Yeah.
So that's my nickname for you. That's your new nickname.
Okay, Mr. Dallas. I'll take it.
Mr. Dallas, yes. Tell us about the hotels that are going to be happening and things like that around the new convention center.
Well, we don't have any new hotels actually named yet, but I've said to the
or that you can say,
to the project planners, I've said that has to be a part of the whole process. When we did a study 4 years ago, we found out that we need about 4,000 rooms right at the convention center, and that was with this current building that is not going to be even close to as effective as
more than we have now.
Right. So if we get 4,000 or 5,000 more rooms, then we'll have that rate package to be ideal for most conventions out there. So there are plans for new hotels, but they're not being announced yet. The other part of this is that, if you're looking at more statistics, the DFW area has the largest hotel new construction pipeline in the United States. So more hotels are being built and planned being built here in the DFW area than any other place.
I think apartments too, but don't verify me on that.
We keep.
I just got that from driving around.
Yeah. So we keep growing and growing, and a couple great new hotels are coming out of the ground now. The JW Marriott is opening up downtown with, I think it's 400 rooms. It's
really?
Beautiful. Right down near the Arts District. The Hotel Swexen is a brand new Harwood hotel that's opening up in June. It's going to be only 135 rooms, but it's going to have, I think, 5 to 9 restaurants in it. It's going to be very high end.
So when you talk about this convention area,
yes.
We're not just talking about a new convention center.
No.
We're talking about an entire district.
We are.
Can you elaborate on that a little bit?
Well, right now we believe that the convention center and then the development that's proposed around it will give way to a lot of investment. There are a lot of people that were ready to develop that area until they found out about the convention center. They paused their plans to find out how we can do it together, and with one fell swoop, and making sure that we get the right elements that complement each other. So our convention center district, as I said, will have retail, not just in the pad of the convention center, but all around it will have brand new hotels, brand new restaurants, brand new apartment buildings, condos, stores, and it's teed up and it will be ready to go, especially with that. And we're using it. There's a great city here in the United States, Nashville, and Nashville changed dramatically from when they built their new convention center. It is another city entirely from what it was 12 years ago, and we're hoping that we can take their lead. They did it really, really well to the benefit of their residents, and we're hoping to do the same thing too.
Well, I want to compliment you too, because you really you got me to vote yes for the hotel. I'm sorry, for the convention Was it a tax or a bond? Well,
Well,
we're
it's
going
actually-
to increase.
It's a tax
You
that
say.
will, yeah. So we're taxing an additional 2% that will be collected and put in trust that future bonds will be sold for and against. So
Okay.
right now, and the number is $4 billion. So there's $4 billion worth of bonding capacity for the convention center and the redevelopment of the surrounding district, which is more than enough to pay the price.
So let me ask you a couple like off the wall questions.
Sure.
You've lived here for 3 years now?
3.5.
3.5 years. What do you like to do in Dallas? People are just
What do I like to do?
Yeah, what do you like to do?
eat.
Where do you like?
Yeah.
I know. I
So,
love.
Yeah, so the restaurant are amazing here. I'm a golfer.
Okay.
So, and there are dozens of golf courses, public and private. I don't belong to a course, but I have an opportunity to play all the time. So this is a golfing place. And then, as you mentioned in my bio, I'm a private pilot, so I like to fly.
Oh yeah, let's talk about that. What do you fly and how did you get into flying?
Okay, so I'm a late bloomer. I got my pilot's license 4 years ago, and I fly Cessnas primarily and Piper Warriors, and I'm actually on the very final part of what's called an instrument rating, which will allow me to fly above the clouds and in bad weather, and so I'm finishing that up now, and then I'm done. So
That's
but
good.
I like to fly almost every weekend. So, but there's just another thing, as I said about the people here. People are so social here. So my wife and I have invitation after invitation to go. I mean. This weekend, I think we have 4 things that we're going to be attending. So yeah, so it's
Wow.
it's just such a place that Dallasites, when they meet you and they get to know you and they trust you, they don't invite you for breakfast. They invite you over to their house for dinner. So
Yes.
I mean that you come and meet my wife, come and meet my husband. We're going to have dinner together. So it's just that kind of a place that they let you into their life
Yes.
pretty quickly and very, very authentically. So those are things I love to do. But restaurants and but it's just such a navigable city that has, and it's a sophisticated city, as I said before. So it has so many things to do.
And business sophistication.
Business sophistication, arts and culture, largest arts district in the United States. So
Wait, say that again.
it's the largest arts district in the United States. The actual pad of it is a concentration of museums, performing arts. It's all right downtown.
I didn't know it was the largest
Yes,
in the
the
United
largest.
States.
It is.
Bigger than New York?
Yeah, from a square footage standpoint, but
Wow.
I think New York has a lot more choice than we do.
Right,
But I'm saying
right.
that
But
all
I
this is concentrated in one area here.
I do know that we have a lot of Broadway plays coming here.
We do. Yeah.
So what do you know about that?
Well, Broadway Dallas operates out of Fair Park, which is a wonderful area that's just south of downtown, and they operate out of there. And they also operate, I think it's at the Windspear downtown. So they operate in 2 different places. So they put out their schedule, but there's not just Broadway plays. There's every type of performance art that you could imagine, and it goes on because this is Texas size. So we have dozens of performing arts.
Let me just stop here. I just wanted to recognize a few people that are helping us with this podcast. Connor Leach, Cameron Short, and my son Oliver Ikard. And they have helped me get all this together and put it together. So
Perfect.
before I forget, I wanted
Thanks,
to shout
everyone.
out to them. They 2 of them work for the company, and Oliver is my son, so he kind of helps too. And
Free
so
labor.
yeah. And then the Cotton Bowl. Tell us
Yeah.
about the Cotton Bowl.
The Cotton Bowl is at Fair Park, and it is the every year the Texas OU game has played there for 50 plus years, and we're hoping that tradition continues.
And that's a big deal.
It is a big deal. It's a tradition between both the schools, and it's a neutral site between the 2 of them, and we're actually going to be talking to them to extend their contract for another 10 years.
Oh,
So
great.
it's a big part of
That's a
of
whole lot of
Texas,
fun. And then what other big sporting events are coming to Dallas?
Well, we have the Cotton Bowl game every year. But
Right.
that takes place at AT&T Stadium in Arlington, which
Okay.
is just 20 minutes down the road. But there's Prairie View Grambling game that also takes place at the Cotton Bowl in downtown Dallas. Well, there's just, I mean, there's so much tradition with the Cowboys, with, you know, the Stars and the Mavericks.
I don't think we lack one major sport here.
No, I know we don't. And and it goes 12 months a year. So, but people are very, you know, we're very, very, the hockey, baseball, football, soccer, we have something, and it's very, very central for everybody's taste. So you don't have to go very far to witness a live event here.
Well, and I go to this thing called meetups.com. I go to mostly real estate meetups, as you can imagine.
Sure.
But it's off the chart how many meetups we have in Dallas.
Yeah.
I don't know if you've heard of that. Probably
I have not, but
it's called meetups.com. It's a website, but people meet about you name it. I go to real estate ones primarily. They have social ones. They have, I don't care what your interest is. Your interest could be yoga. They have a yoga meetup.
Yeah.
Hiking. They have a hiking meetups. They just have meetups after meetups for things that interest people.
Well, my job is so social. Almost every night after work, I have something going on, and on the weekend. So I think that I won't be hitting that website too.
No, you don't need to. Yeah, you don't need to. But I mean, but people who move here,
it's just like
initially, it's a
yeah.
great way to, and you can find people that have common interests with
100%. And you know, as I said before, a lot of the people that live in Dallas are transplants, so they're living the same life as somebody that comes and is brand new to the city.
Right.
And they understand that sort of loneliness that can happen. But it was not my experience at all. In fact, it was the opposite. That we were, you know, almost from the day we arrived, it flooded with invitations to get together, and those invitations have led to some wonderful relationships that will be longtime friends, lifetime friends. So
well, and so many people are not from Dallas who live in Dallas.
100%.
That they're very welcoming and they understand.
They're pre-wired to be welcoming.
Yes.
Yeah.
And so I understand Dallas is leading the nation in terms of new hotel construction.
Yes.
What does this mean for us?
Well, what it means is greater capacity for. I mean, the fact is they wouldn't be constructing more hotel rooms in the Dallas area if there wasn't demand for them, and that just is. I mean, it's a place where people are coming to live, work, and play.
Right.
And that it's usually it's branded as a result of the statistics that come out of. So our hotels are running at around 70% aggregate occupancy, which means that more need to be built. So that is what's happening in here. I mean, it's a lot of cities are expanding, but because Dallas-Fort Worth area has the most activity right now, it means that there's expansion from people coming in from the outside, bringing in their new businesses here. They're relocating here, and they need hotel rooms. So, and for me, I'm very glad because it gives us capacity for large events like FIFA World Cup and for Super Bowl bid that we're going to be doing in the future. So
tell us a little bit about that.
Well, we actually were in play for one in a few years from now, but because our convention center is going to be under construction, we had to take a pass. So we're going to be part of the mix for one within the next 10 or 12 years.
Okay, and when are the Dallas Cowboys going to win the next Super Bowl?
I can't tell you that.
Come on now.
I knew. Yeah,
you're supposed to know these answers, Craig.
Yeah, I'm going to give you a secret. I'm not a Dallas Cowboys fan. I'm a Pittsburgh Steelers fan.
Oh, okay. Well, I mean, if they can win one, that'll be awesome.
I've got to be honest. Well, they're not my first team. They are. I go to almost every home game, so I have become a fan. It's not that I'm not a fan, but I spent almost 30 years in Pittsburgh, so I saw them win go to 3 Super Bowls, win 2 of them. So it's pretty hard not to be a fan.
And the Texas Rangers are doing great.
Yeah. Yep. So this is a place that if you're a sports fan, that our teams are competitive every year.
Yes, they are, and we just need to get the Dallas Cowboys a little bit more
it's
up.
hard. It's
and
hard.
We do well. It's just been a long time since we've had a Super Bowl, but that's not saying anything that other people don't know.
Right.
But you've been a great guest today,
you,
and thank you so much for coming on. Is there anything else you'd like to add? A good place to go is visit
VisitDallas.com.
Okay.
Yeah.
And what can they find out on that website?
It's everything you would want if you're thinking of coming for a visit to Dallas, Texas.
Or maybe even relocating here.
Exactly. I mean, it gives you different itineraries based upon your interests.
Oh, it'll produce an itinerary.
Yeah. If you're more of an outdoors person, if you're more of if you like shopping, if you like sporting events, we can help you with an itinerary that serves around that. But it's a great place for you to search out for restaurants, for hotels, all the things that go along with a visit or a vacation.
Well, and our company has Bishop Arch District, and I would like to put in a plug for that. We have a lot of great restaurants there too, and that's actually a big and fun tourist trap.
It's an amazing. It's a part of Dallas that was very much a place where they manufactured things, and they thanks to Mr. Lake and a lot of other people, they really invested in that area.
Yes.
And it is an incredibly authentic entertainment district. In fact, I say this without any kind of exaggeration. We moved to this part of town because of Bishop Arts District. So we chose this part of Dallas because of the proximity to that. It's brilliant.
Well, and if you go down there and you go to Revelers Hall, places like that, you can listen to live music. Like on a Sunday afternoon, you can sit there and listen to live music. They have jazz bands and things like that.
Street fairs.
It reminds me a lot of New Orleans, so it's just a lot of fun. Yeah, street fairs and things like that. So, well, thank you very much.
Thank you, Robert.
Craig, and thank you for joining us on this podcast, and best wishes with the new convention. I know you're really a big part of that,
I appreciate it.
and you're really driving that forward, as well as the city of Dallas. And I'm sure if any, like for example, let's say I'm a CEO and I'm sitting in Chicago or LA or wherever. I don't want to pick on anybody, but I just have it in my brain that Dallas might be a good place to relocate my company.
Mm-hmm.
How could you help a person like that?
Well, there are a lot of different economic development organizations here that can help. The Dallas Regional Chamber is a perfect one. The City of Dallas has an economic development department, and then Downtown Dallas Inc. is a great resource as well. So there's plenty of resources to help somebody with those questions about whether it makes sense to relocate to Dallas. But from a standpoint of whether or not that's a life choice that you want to make individually, you can get a lot of information off of VisitDallas.com.
And can they call and talk to you maybe if it's
Sure they
a
can.
CEO of a big corporation?
Absolutely.
And you could probably steer them in certain directions
I'd be delighted
to different resources.
And my email address is easy, craig.davis@visitdallas.com.
Craig.davis@visitdallas.com.
Yep.
That is great. Well, thank you very much.
Thanks, Robert.
Craig.
Appreciate you.